So my son recently came to me and asked me a couple of questions, and one of them I think is great to share here, and I'll be going over that today. So the first question he asked me was, Dad, how can I start to build credit? And I thought that was really cool. We kind of went over a few things that we can do to help him get that set up. But the second thing he asked me was, Dad, how can I start to invest? How can I start to, put my money to work and start to see it grow? Kind of do what you do. And so I was really excited about that. And I think that second question is great to share here as well. So today I'm going to be covering exactly what we did to get his account set up and how we're going to go about investing with him going forward. And for you, if that's something that interests you, or you're new to the market or new to investing and want to get started, or if you have someone in his steps, like my son is 16 and they're excited about it, or someone younger that you want to help, today we'll be covering some things that you can do to get started. And the nice thing is it's really easy to follow. It's pretty easy in terms of getting set up. And it's pretty exciting. So there's going to be some things that they can look at that'll keep them interested and keep them moving forward. So that's what we'll be covering today. Make sure you stay tuned and we'll go ahead and jump in. Welcome back to the Flex Free Game channel. So again, today we're going to be covering some things that we're going to be doing to help you get started with investing, a nice, easy way to get started. We'll be covering 4 things that you can do to go ahead and jump in. But before we do that, if you're new to our channel, this is the Flex Free Game channel again, and this is where we give you free game on the market, some great tips, strategies, insights on how you can really be successful in the market. So if you're new, again, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. You can stay tuned on everything that we continue to bring for you. And again, it's just free game on how you can have some success in the market. So step one, the first thing we wanted to do in terms of getting my son started is we wanted to find a platform for him. So we'll go through a few things that I think are important that you should cover or think about as you're going in and finding a platform that you want to use. We end up choosing Robinhood for this, and I'll go over why we did that. But the first thing is low fees, right? We wanted something that's going to be low fees in terms of trading. And the nice thing about the stock market right now and all these different brokerage firms is they're really competitive. So the fees are pretty low across the board, so you can easily find something. And as I say that, you can pick any platform that you want, right? So we chose Robinhood for him just because it was really easy and simple to set up. But again, you can choose anything that you like. But the first thing you want to look at is low fees. Again, so you're not losing money on all the trades that you're doing. The second thing you want to do is you want to find something that's easy to use and beginner friendly. So again, if you're new to the market or if someone you're helping is new to the market, Robinhood for us is really easy. It's go in. It has an app. He's on his phone, so he'll be doing everything through his phone, and it's beginner friendly. So not a ton of buttons, not a ton of a learning curve. So it's pretty easy for them to get in and jump get going. So that's something also you want to look at when you're getting started. The third thing is security, right? So Robinhood is not FDIC insured because it's not a brokerage. It is a brokerage firm. It's not a bank, but it does have a cash sweep program that allows you to keep uninvested funds in a partner bank, and it also is a member of SIPC, which protects securities up to 500K. So again, we chose Robinhood. You don't have to do that, but it is secure. Again, in having that cash sweep program for uninvested funds and also for your securities, it has protection. So the next thing is low minimum deposit. So with the program that we're going to be doing, and I'll go over exactly what that is, it has a low minimum deposit. You don't have to have a ton of money up front. And again, that's something for someone that's new to the market or young or just getting started. They don't have to bring a lot of money to the market. So that's what we went ahead and chose. The next thing is auto deposit, right? So with the strategy we're going to be doing, we're going to be investing $5 a day. And I don't want to have to think about going in there. I don't want him to think about having to go in there every single day and investing $5, right? So we're going to set up an auto deposit that's going to auto do that for us. So auto deposit feature is a nice one. And then the last thing, since we are starting with such a small amount of money, fractional shares, right? Now, this is optional, but we did want to have this access to fractional shares because he's going to be starting with a small amount and building on a small amount daily. So he's not going to have the funds to buy shares of companies that I think are quality companies. You look at, the Dow or the S&P. If you're, been following our channel, we're very big on the Dow and the S&P 500. Those stocks are going to be a little bit more expensive, right? So he's not going to have the funds to buy a full share. But if you have the option to use fractional shares, you can start to invest in those companies with any amount of money that you have and kind of build up to full share. So again, just some things you want to look at in terms of finding a platform: low fees, easy to use, beginner friendly, security, low minimum deposit, auto deposit, and fractional shares. So that's number one. Now, the second thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and open and fund that account. And when you're thinking about funding the account, you want to think about the different account types, right? So you have your tax advantage accounts where you're not going to pay as much on taxes in terms of your uh, capital gains taxes, dividend taxes, things like that. So we looked at a tax advantage account so that we could save and really just keep as much money as possible, right? So when you're investing, the less that you have to pay on taxes, the more you're going to keep for yourself. And that's what we wanted to do. So with that, we went ahead and we chose a Roth IRA account. Now, with a Roth IRA, that's going to be tax exempt. Contributions are made after taxes, right? So you're after tax investing. So when you're taking money out, you're going to have less taxes that you're going to pay, and a lot of things are actually tax free. So that's why we went ahead and went with the Roth IRA. Now there are other types of accounts, general investing accounts. There's other 401ks, different things. So you want to choose the best one that works for you. But in what we're trying to do, and what I think most people are trying to do, is you're trying to keep as much money and pay the least amount of taxes that you have to. So we went ahead and went with that Roth IRA. Now, if you do decide to go with the general account, there are interest and dividends that you can bring in terms of making some money on your account, or increasing your funds through investing. So you will be taxed on that annually based on your income. So you have capital gains and qualified dividends that you can be taxed on. And if you don't know what capital gains are, they're basically profits for selling investments, and you'll be taxed on that. So every time you sell something, you make money on that. You'll be taxed every time you get dividends. And a dividend is basically just an additional payout that a company will give you for investing. You'll be taxed on that as well. So just to know, now, totally fine with that if you don't mind, being taxed, or if that's all you have access to, you can go ahead and use the general account for this strategy. That'll work just fine. Now, with the Roth IRA, I do want to cover there are some limitations with that as well. So since you are, going into this tax protected account, you are going to be subjected to contribution limits. So you can only contribute a certain amount per year. With withdrawals, there are withdrawal restrictions. So sometimes you can only withdraw at a certain time, certain age. There are limited investment options sometimes, so you don't have the full access to everything you can do in a cash or general account. And then there are eligibility requirements sometimes in terms of income and things like that. So all those things you want to take a look at. Pick the right account for you. Again, we went with the Roth IRA just to make sure we're saving on some of the taxes. It's tax protected account, and then you're able to kind of move forward with that. So the next thing you want to do after you pick the type of account that you want to go into is you want to go ahead and pick the type of investments that you want to make, right? What do you want to invest in? So with this strategy, we're going to be doing some index fund investing. And basically that means we're going to be picking either index funds to invest in or ETFs. And we actually did pick an ETF to go with on this, and we went with VOO. It's basically a ETF based on the S&P 500. And the benefits of doing this is you're actually reducing your risk, right? If you do know about our program, what we do in Flex Financial Approach, we actually do pick a lot of individual stocks. And the reason we do that is because we do put a lot of time in researching, right? So I'm looking at every company that I'm investing in. I understand the earnings. I understand the charts. I've been, really invested in what the company is doing overall. So I know what I'm investing in, so I can make really good decisions. But with my son being 16, I don't think that he's going to be spending the time in looking at all of these stocks individually. So we picked Vanguard, the S&P 500 VOO ETF, because that's going to allow him to minimize his risk, right? It's going to have access to all of those stocks, right? So it's really a basket of 500 stocks that are in the S&P 500. And another thing is it's had really good returns. So if you look at the 1-year return, it's 13.82%. If you look at the 3-year returns, it's a little over 16% at 16.06. So not only are you going to spread out your risk, but you're also going to have good returns. Now, past returns are not an indication of what's going to happen in the future, or it's not it doesn't happen exactly like that, but it's a good barometer of what's happened in the past. And if you've actually looked at the S&P 500, if you've bought and held over 20 years, no one has ever lost money, right? There's never been a 20-year span in the S&P 500 where you bought and invested in that you would lose money. So we went with that. And again, you can pick your own investments. I think if you are working with someone new, it's good to reduce risk, right? If you are someone that doesn't mind putting in that that time to really research and understand what you're investing in, you can definitely pick individual stocks. But with this strategy, with my son being 16 and just not knowing exactly how intense he's going to be researching, we went ahead and went with the ETF and got him set up there. So again, we're going to be doing $5 a day. We're going to be investing in VOO, and we're just going to let that continue to move forward. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to set up that auto invest, right? So number 4 is we're going to be setting up that ability to auto invest. So one thing we're going to be doing is auto depositing that $5 a day. So every day it's going to deposit that $5. And again, if you are, worried about being able to find $5, I think everyone can find $5 if you cut out the coffee, if you cut out the video games, or you cut out something that you're spending on, you can find $5 a day to invest. And if not, if you can't, do $1, do $2, just get started, right? That's the biggest thing, get started. The next thing you want to set up is the auto invest. So not only are we auto depositing, but we're auto investing into that ETF that I talked about, VOO. And the strategy that we're going to be doing is dollar cost averaging, right? So with dollar cost averaging, that just means that you're going to put in the same amount of money and buy at the same time. You can do this weekly, you can do this monthly, you can do this annually. We're going to be doing this daily, and where we're putting the money in, and then we're buying the shares once a week. So every week, the same time of the week, we're going to put that money that we're investing towards VOO. Now, what dollar cost averaging does is it basically says you're going to buy when the market's up, you're going to buy when the market's down. It's going to average out over time. And if you want to think about it, when the market is down, just means you have more buying power, right? So if VOO is down, then my $5 a day is going to be able to buy more of a fractional share than it could if the market is up. Now the market is up, that means all your investments are moving up in that. Your money is compounding, you're making money, but your buying power is a little bit less, right? So when you're averaging out, you're buying a little bit less, but everything is moving forward. Or when the market is down, you're able to buy a little bit more, even though your share price is down. And then over time, you're going to see that increase because you've just averaged out what the market is doing, right? So compound interest, again, we're looking at with the strategy to make about 10%, right? So average returns, S&P 500 is about 10%. We've seen that over the past 1 to 3 years, it's been a little better than that, but that's what we want to do, is we want to get 10% on our money. Now, this is just an estimate, right? So it's not exact. We don't know exactly what the market is going to do, but this is just an estimate. And one thing I do want to do is I want to show you a investment calculator, so you can kind of see what compound interest is and how it will work on your account. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here and we can go through that. All right, so here is the investment calculator, and it's really a compound interest calculator. And this is where I just want to show you the power of interest and the power of investing your money. And again, with my son, it was important. We wanted to kind of show him the power of what he's doing, what he's getting started in, what the possibilities are. And if you're in the same boat, if you're new, you can do this for yourself, or if you are helping someone else out, you can do this as well. So the initial investment is going to be $5. The monthly contribution is going to be $150, and basically that's $5 a day for 30 days. The length of time, we're going to be looking at 45 years here, right? So this is a long-term game, and I just want to show the power. Now, you don't have to invest for 45 years, but this is just going to show you the power of what it can do over that time. estimated interest rate, again, we're looking at 10%. Now, again, you could be a little bit better, a little bit worse. So I'm going to put in a variance of 3%, right? So again, the market, we don't know exactly what it's going to do. We're just going based off averages and trying to guess what it does. I'm looking at 10%. The S&P over the last 3 years, we've shown has actually exceeded that. But this is kind of the minimum of what we're looking to get. So if I go ahead and calculate this, you're going to see here, in 45 years, just investing $5 a day, you'll be looking at over 1.2 million, basically 1.3 million, right? So we're looking at that. That's unbelievable. Just putting away $5 a day for 45 years. Now, the nice thing about this calculator, it actually shows over time and it has that variance in here, right? So we look at, let's just go to 20 years, right? Instead of going the full timeout in 20 years, you'd be looking at, or I'm sorry, $103,000. If you're looking at the high variance, about 145,000. If you're looking at the low variance, about $74,000. If you go out to 25 years or 30 years here, we're looking at about 200, almost $300,000 there. High variance 527, 528,000. Low variance 170,000. But the real power here is when we get to that 45-year timeline, right? So if you're looking at the 45 years again, almost 1.3 million. If you're looking at the high variance, right? If you're just getting 13%, which we actually did see over the past year, it's been at 13%. You're looking at over $3 million here. And at the low variance, if it was 7% instead of the 10, you're looking at over 500K, right? So that's what the power of this can do for you. And really, once you get started and just starting to invest, again, there's a lot of ways to do it. But what we want to do here is get my son started. And again, if there's something that you think can help you out, also you can go ahead and get started, or do something very similar. And basically, it's just putting $5 a day away. We can all find $5. And again, if you can't start with something less, you can start with that. But again, to go over kind of closing what we did and what you can do, the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and you want to find your platform. Again, find something with low fees, easy to use, has security, a low minimum deposit, auto deposit, fractional shares, optional if you want to go ahead and invest in optional shares. The second thing is you want to go ahead and fund that account, right? So you think about the different types of accounts. You have your tax advantage accounts versus your general accounts. Find what's best for you. Next, you want to go ahead and pick your investments. Again, we went with the ETF just because I know with getting started, it's just easier. It's going to limit our risk. It's also going to we're not going to have to do as much in terms of studying individual stocks. Now, if you want to do that, you definitely can. You want to go ahead and set up that auto invest. You want to go ahead and think about dollar cost averaging or other strategies, and just look at that compound interest as it can grow and really kind of motivate you as you see that money growing. And then lastly, again, we're going to look at doing that $5 a day. We're going to stay consistent. We're going to dollar cost average. We're looking for that 10% return, and we're going to let this account grow. So that's going to wrap it up for today. If you found this helpful, again, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We want that to be able to share our videos with as many people as possible. So that helps the algorithm, and we appreciate that. If you are looking for coaching yourself, we have a few different options for you. We have a Udemy course where we go over options and how cover calls can help you with generating weekly and monthly income. If you're interested in that, just go into the comments and hit income. We'll send you a link on that. If you would like our free weekly newsletter, we just send out free information on the market, keep you up to date. Go ahead and type in free. We'll send you a link for that. And then lastly, if you are looking for some coaches, right? Some people that can help walk you through, have been there, have done that, love investing, would love to coach you up. Go ahead and put in flex in the comments below, and we'll go ahead and send you over a link where you can set up a call and talk to us about, your future and what we can do to help you out. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.